Nothing stirs up Taylor Swift's fervent fan base quite like new material. But in lieu of an album drop, the mystery surrounding the Grammy-winning artist's upcoming nuptials is doing just as much to mobilise her fandom.
British actor Anthony Head, best known for his roles in TV shows including Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ted Lasso, Merlin and Little Britain, has died at the age of 72. Head found international fame as Rupert Giles in hit supernatural teen show Buffy in the late 1990s. Canada's Food Inspection Agency has announced a temporary ban on livestock from the US state of Texas after flesh-eating screwworms were discovered in calves this week. Cows and horses that were in Texas any time within 21 days before crossing the border into Canada would not be accepted into the country, an agency news release said.
Shaky ceasefire between the US and Iran has been tested further, with American forces targeting Iranian drones and radar sites and Iran firing missiles at US bases in the Gulf. The US military said it had shot down 4 Iranian one-way attack drones launched towards the Strait of Hormuz, which it said posed an immediate threat to regional maritime traffic. In many ways, the FIFA World Cup 2026 will be one of a kind, from the biggest participation pool in the competition's history to 3 host countries. The 39-day tournament hopes to be the grandest version of football's showpiece event.
North Korea's Kim Jong-un has ordered his navy to build a 10,000-ton destroyer and develop secret underwater weapons before a visit by China's Xi Jinping. According to the official Rodong Sinmun newspaper on Saturday, Kim supervised a naval test on Thursday, boarding the 5,000-ton destroyer Kangkon and observing another 5,000-ton warship, the Cho Haeyeon, as he continues to visit military and weapons sites before Xi's visit. The Kangwon had partially capsized during a launch ceremony last year and had to be repaired.
Punjab Food Authority, PFA, sealed a production unit of a well-known bakery in Lahore after uncovering multiple food safety violations during an inspection conducted as part of an ongoing audit of major food brands. The operation was carried out by PFA enforcement teams under the supervision of the Additional Director Lahore. During the inspection, officials confiscated and destroyed 4,500 kilograms of koya, 840 kilograms of cream, 50 litres of expired chemicals, and more than 1 mound of raw materials deemed unfit for consumption.
Police in Islamabad registered 432 cases of kidnapping and sexual assault during the first 5 months of 2026. According to official data obtained by local media, the figures show that 55 sexual assault cases and 377 kidnapping cases were reported across various police jurisdictions in the federal capital between January and May.
Probable Glacier Lake outburst flood, GLF, event triggered emergency response measures in the Hispa-Hopa region of Gilgit-Baltistan after the Pakistan Meteorological Department, PMD, detected a sudden surge in river discharge from the Hispa catchment. According to PMD officials, the department's Gilof early warning system recorded an exponential rise in water levels, prompting immediate alerts to the Gilgit-Baltistan Disaster Management Authority, district administrations, and other relevant agencies. Pakistan and India again traded barbs at the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, this time on occupied Kashmir, with Islamabad slamming the other side for misleading the Council. Speaking during the presentation of the UNSC's annual report to the General Assembly on Friday, Pakistan's permanent representative to the UN Ambassador Asim Iftikhar Ahmad called for the resolution of the Kashmir dispute, according to a press release. Pakistan coordinated and drafted the introduction to the annual report.
British actor Anthony Head, best known for his roles on television in series such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Merlin and Ted Lasso, has passed away at the age of 72. The actor gained global praise in the 1990s for his portrayal of Rupert Giles in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He also played King Arthur's father, Uther Pendragon, on the BBC series Merlin.
A Nepali mountaineer who survived nearly a week on Mount Everest said he chewed ice to stay alive as he recovered in a hospital after a miraculous rescue that stunned the climbing community. Dawa Sherpa, 57, disappeared in brutal conditions on the upper slopes of the world's tallest mountain on May 30 during one of the final climbs of the spring season. Jalen Brunson drilled the go-ahead free throw as the New York Knicks held off a furious San Antonio rally to beat the Spurs 105-104 and take a commanding 2-0 lead in the NBA Finals. San Antonio player Victor Wembanyama had a crucial late turnover and missed a potential game winner with 2 seconds remaining on Friday, leaving the Spurs in need of an unprecedented comeback when the best of series shifts to New York for games 3 and 4.
Founder of India's viral cockroach Janta party arrived in New Delhi on Saturday to lead a protest against Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, taking the country's largest online youth movement to the streets for the first time. Abhijit Dipke, 30, who has lived in the United States for the past 2 years, had said his family and friends feared he could be arrested on his return to India. New attacks in the Middle East on Friday threatened to unravel an already fragile US-Iran ceasefire. Weeks of complex talks, marked by threats and flare-ups of violence, have failed to secure a deal to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a key conduit for global energy flows.
In a slickly produced podcast interview published this week, Ivanka Trump talked about her latest real estate project, what she described as an unbelievable, beautiful 400-hectare private island in the middle of the Mediterranean, plus 5 beautiful miles of Albanian beachfront intended to become resorts and hotels. But the project, backed by the US president's daughter and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, includes planned development of a protected natural area along the coast across from the island, which conservation groups say has already damaged the beautiful area Trump was praising. Pope Leo XIV arrives Saturday in Spain, where he is expected to focus on the treatment of migrants and polarization in politics, themes likely to cement his pontificate as a counterweight to the Trump administration. The first American Pope's June 6 to 12 trip will see him visit migrant centers, address Spain's parliament at a time of intense polarization in the country, and make a visit to the iconic Sagrada Familia Basilica in Barcelona. It's also expected that he'll meet clerical sexual abuse survivors.
Observers across the world have long questioned the utility of Donald Trump's now 3-month-old war on Iran. But a growing number of voices from within the US president's Republican Party are saying that this futile and illegal conflict must end. A resolution calling for the withdrawal of US troops from Iran passed narrowly in the Republican-controlled House of Representatives recently, with 4 members of the US leader's own party backing the resolution. The move has expectedly incensed Mr. Trump, who called it unpatriotic. Since the start of the war, most American lawmakers had only mildly been criticizing the joint US-Israeli attack on the Islamic Republic. But now, with US midterm elections in November inching closer, both Republican and Democratic lawmakers want to avoid the voters' wrath at the ballot box. The good physician treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient who has the disease. Sir William Osler, 1849-1919. In 1986, Carlo Petrini founded the slow food movement in Italy to counteract the so-called fast food by promoting local food cultures, traditional cooking and sustainable farming. Inspired by this, the concept of slow medicine took birth, a patient-centered approach to healthcare that prioritizes time, listening, and comprehensive care over rapid, high-tech, intensive interventions. It emphasizes quality, patient's context, and shared decision-making to avoid hurried, unnecessary, harmful treatments.
Approves 100 BN financing facility for PSO. Oil company facing over 900 BN receivables from SOEs. Special honoraria expanded to more ministries, departments, Rs 10s. 15 BN cleared for Pakistan Navy's Hangul project. 4.38 BN granted to Gilgit-Baltistan ahead of elections, Islamabad. Less than a week before the next budget, The Economic Coordination Committee, ECC, of the Cabinet on Friday approved more than 40 billion in supplementary grants and a 100 BN sovereign guarantee-backed financing facility for the Pakistan State Oil, PSO, which is facing over 900 BN in receivables from other state-owned enterprises, raising concerns about smooth oil supplies.
Party think tank seeks R's 1.2 million exemption threshold for salaried individuals, calls for abolishing the super tax and reducing GST to 15%, demands capping petroleum levy at 50 per litre as Islamabad. In a shift from its earlier stance of non-engagement, the Pakistan Tehreek-i-Insaf has unveiled its budget proposals for 2026-27, calling for relief to the salaried class, sharp reductions in government expenditure and wide-ranging reforms to what it describes as a fiscal framework that has burdened taxpayers without ensuring economic stability.
Quetta. The Balochistan High Court on Friday suspended the implementation of a First Information Report, FIR, registered against leader of the opposition in the National Assembly, Mehmood Khan Achakzai, while admitting his constitutional petition for regular hearing. A BHC division bench headed by Chief Justice Mohammed Kamran Molokhkyle heard the petition challenging the FIR lodged against Mr. Achakzai by police in Kila Abdullah district. Following preliminary arguments, the court ordered the suspension of the FIR's implementation and issued notices to the provincial government and other respondents for the next hearing.
After a very profitable decade on Microsoft's board, Reid Hoffman is stepping down, the company announced Thursday. Hoffman joined the board after Microsoft bought his company LinkedIn for $26.2 billion in 2016. Hoffman was on Microsoft's board when it invested its first $1 billion into OpenAI in 2019. Hoffman was one of OpenAI's original investors and served on the model maker's board until he stepped down in 2023, citing too many potential conflicts of interest to continue. He was also on Microsoft's board when the tech giant entered into one of those non-acquisition, acqui-hire deals for $650 million with his AI startup Inflection AI. Microsoft hired Inflection co-founder Mustafa Suleyman through that deal.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has hit out at people trying to interfere in our democracy after US Vice President. Jade Vance waded into a national controversy by blaming mass migration for the recent murder of a student. The killing of Henry Nowak, an 18-year-old white student, sparked a national outcry after it emerged that police officers had handcuffed him as he lay dying, inflicted by Sikh man Oi Vikram Digwai, a 23-year-old Sikh man, in an attack late last year.
United States President Donald Trump has sought to reassure farmers hard hit by tariffs and the economic fallout of the US-Israeli war with Iran during a visit to Wisconsin. The stop in Chippewa Falls on Friday for a farming roundtable comes months before the midterm elections in November. Trump was seeking to bolster support for Republican US Representative Derek Van Orden, who has been targeted by Democrats hoping to take control of the chamber.
South American electoral authorities may want to consider the soccer calendar when setting the date for the next vote. That seemed to be the lesson from Colombia, where the excitement for its first World Cup outing since 2018 spilled into the political arena ahead of a presidential runoff on June 21.
Israel's military carried out a spate of attacks in Gaza, continuing its bombardment despite the ceasefire that remains in place on paper, as Palestinian factions prepare to convene in Egypt to discuss the enclave's future. In Friday morning's attack, an Israeli drone killed a young woman and injured at least 15 others in the southern Khan Yunis area, according to the Palestinian Wafa news agency.
Italy's Flavio Cobolli said he was sad and happy at the same time after reaching his first Grand Slam final at the French Open on Friday, following the last-minute withdrawal due to illness of his last four opponent and compatriot Matteo Arnaldi. The 24-year-old 10th seed will meet Alexander Zverev in Sunday's final, which will produce a new major champion after the German second seed earlier moved past Jakub Menzik in the other semi-final.